Assab, even historically, was a port that was developed by Ethiopian taxpayers' money. They are trying to encircle Ethiopia. The response was cold again. Whatever might come, people are ready. The regime in Asmara would, I don't know, maybe all of a sudden change its mind. Good for them, good for us. Otherwise, the problem will continue. Thank you so much. There is a multitude of reasons for Ethiopia's aspiration and hopes to have access to the sea at the moment. First and foremost, this issue of having access to the sea is not something new. It was always there in the last 34 years when Ethiopia lost access to the sea, as well as for forever, I would say, for thousands of years. Ethiopia is not new to have access to the sea. Today, in the last 34 years, yes, Ethiopia is landlocked. But for thousands of years, Ethiopia has the Red Sea coast. So for us, it's like our home, second home. So that should be underlined. Okay? What is currently today, Eritrea, we call it Bahar Nagash. It means provincial coast or provincial coast or region. Ruled by Alula, for example, in the latter years. So for now, Ethiopia has set the agenda now because this is an issue that has to be addressed now. If we postpone it for 20, 30 years, our kids, our generation, our children and children, they will be faced with the same problem. If we address it now, it means we are being transparent, and also secondly caring for all upcoming Ethiopian generations, because each generation has got the responsibility to solve problems of future generations. So that's the policy of the government, and believe it or not, it has this issue has found resonance and support by an absolute majority of Ethiopians, whether abroad or here, because Ethiopians had always felt that in order to grow, one has to have its own port. One has to have its own unrestricted access to the sea. And when Ethiopia makes this request, it is based on international law. There are United Nations conventions. Prominent among these is UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Seas, that gives all landlocked countries unrestricted access, safe passage towards the ocean, towards the sea. In our case, the Red Sea. In the case of, let's say, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi, access to the Indian Ocean. So this is a reality. Another reality is Ethiopia, since the last eight years, under the new government, the new reforms, our economy is growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, one port or two ports in Djibouti can have become very difficult for them to do what? To lubricate or to sort out, facilitate the import and export of Ethiopian goods. We need more and more ports. So that is also another reason. So I think these are the reasons why right now at the moment, Ethiopia had openly declared to all friends, near and far, and has also approached for the last 8 years our brothers, Eritrean government to the north, openly talking about this provision of access to the sea based on rent or based on another modality like lease or based on land swap. Ethiopia hands over fertile land to Eritrea, and Eritrea offers us the use of this port, especially Assab, not Massawa, but primarily Assab, because Assab, even historically, was a port that was developed by Ethiopian taxpayers' money, even under Imperial Ethiopia, Emperor Haile Selassie's time. And also the military government, of the military government of Ethiopia, had also invested a lot on expanding the port of Assab. And let's not forget, under Emperor Haile Selassie's time, Ethiopia's only refinery, oil refinery, was located in Assab. That was destroyed, dismantled, by the way, by the two provisional governments that came, one that came to power to Addis, one that came to Eritrea and Asmara. So Assab is most likely the historically also very, very tied to Ethiopia itself. How about Eritrea, you might ask me? There was no Eritrea per se. Eritrea per se became independent in 1991, as you know. But before it, it was a colony. How did it become a colony? Is a very consequential question. That part of Ethiopia, Bahara Nagash, we call it, it means coastal province, was carved out by the Italians. And in 1890, they proclaimed and set up a new colonial administration. And they baptized it with a new name. That name was called Red. They call it Red Sea. Why do they call it, the Italian parliament, Red Sea? Because Eritrea means Red Sea in Greek language. That was how the Greek Empire Romans used to call it, Eritreos. Is there a people called Eritrea? No. Was there a sovereign country called Eritrea? No. Was there a sovereign country called Ethiopia? Yes. Was there a people called Ethiopia? Yes. For thousands of years. But how about Eritrea? Not before 1890, but only after 1891. So when you talk about Eritrea, we have to be very specific and very, very careful. Everything was Ethiopia. We are intermarried, we look the same, we speak similar languages, etc., etc. And it was administered by the Ethiopian imperial, civilizations of the past as Bahara Nagash. So that's we should be very cautious in analyzing the geopolitics and the history behind it. The response is, I would say, very, very cold, even ice cold, and not friendly, especially for a brotherly people like Ethiopia. We had lived as one. We are intermarried, as I already said. You find 300,000 at least Eritreans even now living in Ethiopia. As brothers, they are welcomed. But the government that took over power since 1991 is sad to say, it's an embarrassment, sad to say, not a friendly one to Ethiopia, especially nowadays when Ethiopia began to raise the issue of what? Let's peacefully talk and decide that Ethiopia, in a very unrestricted way, to have access to your ports so that we grow hand in hand in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, in the spirit of what? Regional horn countries, regional growth and economic social development. And since the Ethiopian reform of the last 7.5, 8 years, one of the priority issues that Prime Minister Abiy, the new leadership, under his leadership, was to go to Asmara and to sort out the problems that were observed because of the Badame incident and because of this bitter war that we had in the 1998 to 2000. Okay, that was sorted out, and in a very open and transparent way, Ethiopia has requested to use, not for free, based on money, Eritrean ports, Massawa as well as Assab, more so Assab. The response was cold again. Ethiopia even was asked to present, projects. So several projects were sent to the Eritrean leadership, to the president. No response to this day. And one asks the question, why? Eritrea, a small country, look at Djibouti, a neighboring country. They, based on the services that they have provided, Djibouti ports, they get between 1.5 billion American dollars to now approaching 2 billion American dollars. Eritrea could have used such amount of money and then plowed it in towards its economic and social development. Do that make sense? So is that a smart move? I don't think so. Is that a smart leadership? I don't think so. Smart leaders are leaders like William Ruto, who has offered unrestricted access to the Indian Ocean, to the Ugandans. I'm referring to the speech of President Museveni. He said, we are humanity. The Indian Ocean belongs to all of us. Ethiopia could say also, Red Sea belongs to all of us. Please, we want to have access. Even he said, we can't even go to the point of what? Military some kind of an action. He was very, very brutally honest. The response of William Ruto is that we shouldn't go there. We are brothers. You can use Malindi, you can use, other Mombasa, Lamu, whatever ports you want. So then what's the difference between the leaders in Eritrea and the leaders in Kenya? I'll summarize this in one word: goodwill. Lack of goodwill on whose part? On the part of the Asmara government. Why? Look at the Kenyans. Even there is a much to benefit for the Eritreans, as an input to their economy. So I think that's how we need to see it. And it's hard to say. The response to this day and moment is very cold and no answer on the part of the Eritrean government. We hope someday, somehow, when another government comes in Eritrea, because no government is permanent, as all of us know, governments come and go, but people and country will be there. When another regime in Eritrea comes, which is smart, globally thinking, would like to get the goodies of economic benefits coming out of Ethiopia, and also a regime that feels and believes in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. What Ethiopia has offers to Eritrea, what Eritrea has offers to us, and together, regional integration, IGAD and everything will grow together, will develop together. It should be sincere. So I think Ethiopia has done what is expected of it. We have brought our appeal to our neighboring countries, to the African Union, to the United Nations, to the European Union, to America. And even some countries are already sympathetic, like Russia, like America, like France, like Italy. They said, yes, Ethiopia, she's right. You cannot confine. You keep Ethiopia like a prison. Close Ethiopia and throw the key away and say, the hell with you. No, because it will have a reaction. Given the Ethiopian population, the Ethiopian economy, Ethiopia is going to implode and explode outside, implode inside and explode outside. So I think one needs visionary leaders in our part of the world, like William Ruto or Abiy Ahmed or others as well. That's how I see it. In regard to Egypt, is our neighborhood, is our vicinity. We do not have direct access, geographical contact with each other, but there are the history, the culture, the neighborhood, and also Abai. We call it Abai, Nile. It means we are intertwined together. Abai, 86% begins in the highlands of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is conscious and aware and sympathetic towards what? Guaranteeing the survival of the Egyptians, unlike the misinformation that's coming out of Cairo. Okay? So Ethiopia has never questioned and said, has no intentions to stop the flow of the Nile. In terms of physics, in terms of geography, terrain, it's impossible, by the way. You cannot stop the flow of water. What we want to do, like GERD, which Egyptians opposed, by the way, and unfortunately, in a very irrational way, is Ethiopia wants to generate its God-given and geography-given gift that we have. We are a water tower, so we want to generate electricity and then let it go. That was the spirit. And when Ethiopia decided to build the GERD, 2011, we were transparent. We invited them and the Sudanese government. We had signed an agreement in 2015, but they have put aside, and the Egyptians are hesitant and also sabotaging some moves of Ethiopia. But that shouldn't have been the case among brothers. Now we are seeing an effort. It's a futile attempt, I would call it, an effort to encircle Ethiopia, where some countries which don't see eye to eye to Ethiopia, some countries which are quote-unquote potential enemies in terms of history and now, like Eritrea, like Egypt, they are trying to encircle Ethiopia, trying to get every country on board so as to abort and to stop Ethiopia's aspiration to have access to the sea. I don't see why the Egyptians benefit out of it by trying to stop what is unstoppable. No force can stop Ethiopia, given its economic might, population, because we are going to explode someday, somehow. We need an outlet to the sea. Okay? So now, rather than do that, it seems they are trying to so get back at Ethiopia because of the Renaissance Dam, and also by orchestrating and organizing even Ethiopian opposition groups, like they have done 50 years, 60 years onwards. You name it, all opposition groups run to Cairo, get financial support, media support, especially in the past, shortwave radio support, whatever military support, moral, psychological support. They are orchestrating all anti-Ethiopian government elements now. And here again, who is a junior partner in that effort? It is, unfortunately, the Eritrean government. They even had signed agreements. Whenever the Asmara regime feels insecure, they run where? To Cairo, to Al-Kahira. They try to get the support of the Egyptians, as if to say to save us. But what are they trying to do? Who's saving who from what? Ethiopia has no policy of really sabotaging, has no policy of destroying or negatively impacting the Egyptians, as well as the Eritreans, the Djiboutians, in all countries. So I think the efforts of Egypt nowadays, this kind of political machinations, it will not work on Ethiopia because it has never worked in the past. The Egyptians had tried and fought many wars with Ethiopia from the political history point of view. For example, in 1875, in 1876, we fought two bloody wars, the Battle of Gura and Gundit in North Ethiopia. And both times, Ethiopia defeated them totally, maximum total annihilation of the Egyptian troops, even which was supported by mercenary troops, Americans and Europeans at the time, believe it or not. So trying to subjugate militarily, vanquish Ethiopia is at very, very tall order. It's impossible. It's impossible. And it's not good. Losing a good friend, a good brother like Ethiopia by the Egyptians and also Eritreans is not good. Ethiopia is one of those law-abiding, cultured, peace-loving country. The good option strategy should have been among brothers to solve our problems peacefully, which both countries, it seems at the moment, are putting it aside. So I think Ethiopia is formidable. The Ethiopian people and the government are committed. Whatever might come, people are ready. Whatever inconveniences to the extreme. We don't want to go that way, but we all want to do is based on international law. Egypt and Eritrea and others, enemy countries, should recognize Ethiopia's right to live, Ethiopia's right to use its own resources like water, and they should respect also, based on UNCLOS, Ethiopia's right to have what? Access to the sea. No one can stop that because the law is the law. And Ethiopia had underlined the fact that it will do it what? Peacefully. So that's how we should see the current reality. The Eritrean ports of Massawa and Assab, we can use in the future. The scenario is what? Regime change and goodwill. If there is it could be President Isaias. If today he declares and says, hey guys, let's talk, fine with us. It's not for us to choose the leadership of Eritreans. But we want what? A very smart, rational, good-natured, brotherly neighboring country. If he doesn't do it now, it's sad. We'll wait, but when another regime comes, definitely, I'm sure, we don't know when, we'll solve our problems with Eritrean brothers. So Assab especially is closer, is the most vital port for Ethiopia's north, east, and central Ethiopia. The Horn of Africa is a troublesome area in most of our history. Not only Ethiopia, all of them. Also to Uganda, Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, and everything. So I think all these countries should have a committed leadership which focus on peace and development, like what Ethiopia has. Rather than military training, like Eritrea, for what, military training, There are so many things to do for the country. Build more roads, bring up the economy, up to its highest level, and collaborate with neighboring countries and give and take, mutual interests, work together. I have a port, I have this, I have land, I have this, I have airlines, this and that. That should be really the reality. But unfortunately, it's so happened for the last 34 years. There's a whole lot of coldness coming from the northern side. But someday, somehow, it's gonna be solved. One thing is I would like to say is, in order to summarize, is we shouldn't forget the Eritrean people, because I feel they are taken as hostages. They have no choice, taken hostages by their own government. So we should be sympathetic to them, like what Ethiopia is trying to do. Give them home when they need it, because refugees, they come here and they fly out from Addis Ababa International Airport to Denmark, to America, to England, London, to Italy, Roma, to what have you. So we are brothers. Governments come and go, but people what? Are people. They stay together. So Ethiopia is well known for its good heart, and that will continue, I'm sure, and we are in the right track. But definitely, I do hope and pray and cross my fingers against all odds, as the saying goes, that the regime in Asmara would, I don't know, maybe all of a sudden change its mind. Good for them, good for us. Otherwise, the problem will continue. So that's how I conclude.